Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I want to welcome you all to Jaffery Sports of Minnesota mini showtime with a very, very special guest, Fatima Deoji. Welcome, Fatima.
Thank you. Thank you for having me at 7 a.m. my time, PS.
We really appreciate you taking out the time and, putting the sleep to the side a little bit. We really appreciate it. It's an honor to have you on live.
No, thank you for having me. It's an honor for me too.
Perfect, Fatima. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Again, I'm Matham, and I'll let my buddy here introduce himself.
So I'm Muntazir, but everybody knows me as Monty.
Okay.
So it was nice to talk to you before. Actually, she was telling me that she actually hasn't slept yet. So it's 7 a.m. in Dar, and she hasn't slept yet, and she has another Zoom meeting after this one. So good luck with all that.
We're just hustling through,
There we go. No, it's really awesome that you're doing this. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
So Fatima, with that, before we get to, we're gonna wait for some people to join into the live, but kind of to get to know about you. When's the last time you've been to the U.S.?
I was there about 3 years ago. So I went back to Georgetown to visit some of my professors. I was in Florida for a bit. I went to play golf there actually. So yeah, about 3 years ago.
Nice. So you already gave one of the answers out about where you went to school. You weren't supposed to give that up. It's okay. We'll get to
it.
Have you ever been to Minnesota?
Yes, I have. A really good friend of mine went to the University of Minnesota, so I visited her. It was really cold. I went at like the worst time ever, but it's nice. It was nice.
Yeah, we have like 4 good months where the weather's nice and warm. But other than that, it's
4 good months. Oh my gosh!
Snowy.
And the good months, there's just a bunch of mosquitoes. So, but it's the best place.
Yeah.
It's still the best place.
Good.
But with that, Fatima, we'll go ahead and get started, and we want to start off first of all, introducing yourself for people that may not know your background, kind of what you've done. I think it's really important that we kind of put a lot of light on ladies and women in our culture, especially because sometimes we tend to overlook it, and I think it's really cool the things that you've been able to accomplish. So kind of just an introduction about you and yourself and growing up in that.
Okay, so I grew up in a very non-traditional kind of household. I grew up playing golf competitively since I was 6. I went all the way to high school here in Tanzania, and then basically went to Georgetown in DC. And I studied management and finance at Georgetown. And I came back and I absolutely hated it because basically, if you know Georgetown, it's known for its foreign services, right? So you have all these presidents who go there, and we had amazing speakers come there. So I really wanted to do Middle Eastern studies. So I came back to Dar and I was like, okay, 1 year I'm going to take a PS. I have my book. So if you guys want, you should order that because my entire life it's in there.
You got to show us the book. We got to get some advertising.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let me get my book.
Gotta show us the book.
She's the first person we've ever had on the show that's written their own book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's my first book. Both of them are on Amazon. It's called Marketing for an African Powerhouse. Okay, and then that's the second one I wrote recently.
Okay,
Wow.
So I have a question. This might be the worst question possible to ask.
It's okay.
I'm just gonna ask
Okay.
So when you write a book, did you type that yourself, and how long did it take to edit it? How does that all work? Because some of these books
I have a problem. My brain doesn't slow down, and when I say I want to do something, I get it done. So my first book, I remember what I did is I took a sabbatical. I went to study Arabic in Lebanon for about 2 months, and so I was studying Arabic, and the course was so intense because it was basically a 2-month course, right? So I'd go to school at 8, get done at 5 p.m. and then write my book for 3-4 hours a day, and then finish my homework. So it was that kind of routine. But yeah, it's pretty good. I have so like I have a pretty good social media team and someone I work with. So they came up with the cover and they helped me with that. But other than that, yeah, write, edit, everything done by me.
Start to finish, how long did it take?
My first book, that was pretty slow. It took about like 8 months. Second book was about 3 to 4.
Oh wow.
Wow.
I struggle writing
That's a
papers
long
at university.
You're high school. Wait, are you guys in high school? Oh, you're in uni.
Yeah, I go to the University of Minnesota.
Oh, you do? Okay, what do you
Yeah.
study?
I'm studying marketing and business management.
Okay, so order my books. They'll really be helpful.
Okay, I got you.
What about you?
Right after the show, yeah.
This is what you call marketing. So what about you?
I just finished last year my bachelor's in exercise science.
In what? Exercise science.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. What is that?
Okay, it's basically like kinesiology.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's not like that. Like I'll be honest with you, like I was like, oh my, like when I saw it, like I was like, yo, where did you go to school? I was like, like I can't even compare it to your education background. Like I'm like, oh man.
No, man, you know what? I'm all for like doing different things, so it's good.
Yeah,
It's
so it's kind of I love sports, so that's why it kind of pulled me in and all that.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. So I'll let Monty lead off on the next question.
So I know, like with you growing up in Dar and and obviously, like you said, not living in like a traditional household, what was it like adapting to going to Georgetown and going to the States?
Okay. Okay, so one of the things with me is that I'm very hard-headed in terms of I don't get swayed into anything. Like I have my principles straight. So I remember when I went to Georgetown, it wasn't much of a culture shock because I went to a pretty international high school. But when I went there for the first 2 years, I was on the varsity golf team, so I didn't have a life basically. It was just school and then like golf. But I also like met some really, really amazing people in school. And so like, yeah, it was a transition, but it wasn't that much of a culture shock, just because I think that I was just really, really busy. And, you know, I just had my head on straight. Like if there was something I didn't want to do, I wouldn't do it. Like I would not jeopardize my principles or my morals. And I think that that's one thing that because of golf and because I was just so self-confident growing up, I didn't feel the need to like fit in or, you know, like make myself sort of adapt to that kind of culture.
Okay. And no, this is a little bit off topic. I don't mean anything.
No, it's okay.
We didn't talk about this question I'm about to ask you. So I know you've been to Florida, you've been to Minnesota. So like food wise in like where in Georgetown University, is there like a lot of halal food? Is it like are you eating a lot of like
so when I was there was just one place. It was called Quick Pita and it was terrible. Lebanese food. It was so bad. And like, but the thing is that I just, you know, I gained, I think freshman 30 instead of 15. I like gained a lot of weight the first year just because I was like eating carbs. And then slowly, like, you know, I became like vegetarian pretty much. So, you know, I just take care of myself. Yeah.
It's okay. There's always a story in college, somehow, some way.
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah.
So I know you're always doing, you know, remarkable things. But to kind of slow it down right now, if we took a snapshot today and we're like, Fatima, what are you doing right now? What is something that you're working on currently that you're trying to change the world?
Okay, so one thing or like many things?
Name us your top 3 things that are on you're like, I want to get this done at this minute now.
So I'm working on my 3rd book. Okay. I'm also doing a lot of mentorship and coaching because basically a lot of businesses are struggling right now. A lot of entrepreneurs are struggling. People are just with personal development. So I do a lot of mentorship online to help people just pro bono, free of charge. I just want, I know how difficult it is for people right now. I'm blessed. I think a lot of us are blessed that we can stay at home and we can live off our savings. A lot of people are struggling and I just want to do whatever I can to help. And The third thing, I'm trying to take care of myself. So I do a lot of online courses. I just finished a course from Wharton on here. I'll show you my certificate. Actually, I have my board here, so I'll just show you. It's a certificate on viral marketing and how to craft contagious content.
Wow.
And I read a lot. Yeah, and I read a lot. So yeah.
Cool. Well, I gotta ask you, what's your newest book about that you're trying to write about?
So this is a little bit of a different book. It's more of just so what I want to do is I really want to help not just Muslim women, but just the perception that our culture has about just mix up of like culture and Islam, and just my stories. And I want to embed lessons in it for girls, you know, to sort of know that they can do whatever they want in their life, and to have that confidence, and to like unleash their potential, and to just make the world a better place. Because essentially for me, and I say this in almost all my talks, that and it's one of the things that my professor told me, was that, you know, if you want to be successful and you want to be happy, you have to make sure that you have like a vision that's just bigger than yourself. And so for me, it's all about how am I making an impact in the world? And I want people to take that away, because now with, you know, your TikTok and your Instagram, it's all about me, and it's all about like, you know, just like the world has become really selfish. And I want people to understand as early as possible that, you know, it's so important to find a sense of purpose in your life. So.
Okay. Well, that's gonna lead us to our next topic of questions that I think really makes kind of what you do really remarkable, and something that I think you know, a lot of, I guess in our culture we tend to overlook it, but it's women in sports. I don't think our culture puts a lot of, you know, like we tend to maybe, you know, put it down, or maybe like not look upon it with as much respect. I think maybe not even our culture, just worldwide, like, you know, women in sports are just not huge. So I'll let Monty go off with that first question there.
Yeah, you know, kind of going off what Matham said about like women in sports, and how, you know, like there's a lot harder, especially for hijabi women. Like, oh, you know, there's sometimes they get bullied because they have a hijab on, or they're not comfortable playing sports in hijab. So for your background in sports, I know you said growing up you played golf, you played varsity golf at Georgetown. So, and you kind of got into it kind of like it was like your family, like through your household, like you said. But other than golf, were there any sports that you played, and how did you get into those sports?
So in my family, it's we played golf and tennis, and I'm pretty much, I just grew up because of you know, just growing up playing these sports. I got into squash, and until the lockdown, basically, I run like about 5 to 7 kilometers every day.
Okay.
And you know, I do kickboxing, and I just think that, you know, if people understood how important like sports is just for your mental health, how important it is for instilling discipline, instilling like teamwork, instilling so many qualities in you, I think that a lot of parents would like encourage their daughters to get into it. And you know, I started when I was 6, and I remember, you know, my life was tough, because I would go to school and then come back, do my homework, go play golf, and then thank you for drinking while I'm fasting. Just kidding. I'm really messing with you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna touch that again.
Don't even worry. That was a joke. That was just like, yeah. So my dad, we had a net, you know, and my dad would just like make us like, the coach would come and I'd just hit 200 balls like every single day at the net, and you just like, it's like every day, you know. And then on Saturdays, you go to madrasa in the morning, and then my friends would see me because I'd run from madrasa and go straight to the golf course, and they'd be like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Yep." You know, so that's pretty much my life. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really curious for this answer, because I think this would be pretty cool. But who was your role model growing up, and you know, has it changed over time after maybe some of the accomplishments that you've done, or like has it always, was there just like this like one spark that, man, this person, I want to be like this person, and then after some years it changed? Or currently, where do you stand with that?
I think it wasn't a role model. You know what it was? It was a lot of the naysayers and just a lot of like backlash, growing up, because I was so consumed with golf. I wasn't like concentrating on school that much, and I was like slacking, and then you have people coming in telling you're not good enough, you're not going to get anywhere, and it still happens. Like, it's just you become deaf to it after you get to a certain point, right? But I think it was that point that I remember I was sitting in an assembly, and I'd see my friends go up and get their honor roll, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is, I want to get to that point in my life where I have control over my life. And so that's when I it was just a mindset change. And I flipped everything that I thought I couldn't do, and I just started working really, really hard. And it wasn't the work, it was just battling with your mind every single day and just telling yourself, hey, you can do it, and that's what changed. I think I was in middle school, and since then I just started working really, really hard. And even when I graduated from university, whenever I wanted to start like my, I started a women empowerment initiative. I got a lot of backlash. People were like, what are you doing? It's not gonna get anywhere, even with my book. But somehow, like, these things don't get to me anymore, because I think that the more and that's why I say, the more you do things and the more you accomplish things, you beat your mind to it, and you beat, and it's all about just beating your own mind rather than proving a point to other people, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of, I know you touched on this a little bit earlier when you were talking about golf and more of the sports that you enjoyed playing.
Yeah.
But do you think sports can help women become better leaders? And how? And how has sports made you a better leader?
So there's a statistic that a lot of, and I have that in one of my talks, that and I don't want to misquote the statistic, but it's around like 60% of like when female CEOs have said that they play a sport, right? And so I think that for me, it's mental toughness. Like, I remember competing against like women that were like twice my age, and against men. Like, I played a tournament in December in Dubai, and I was playing against men. I was playing off the men's tee. And so it builds your mental toughness, right? And you take those lessons to the boardroom, from the golf course to the boardroom. Being able to be social, like being able to speak to so many kinds of people. When you're in a business atmosphere, like, I've met so many different people, just learning to connect with those kinds of people. That's what you learn on the golf course. Things like, how to be a good loser. Like, you're not going to win every single time, right? And like, I remember, you have those, like, when you're younger, you have like rage, and you just like take the golf club and you just want to like kill someone. But then like, get older and you just learn how to mature and just be like, okay, I had a bad round. Doesn't mean I'm a horrible golfer. It's okay. And you just move on, so many lessons. Like, I think that it's shaped me in so many ways. And it's just, I'm so grateful that, that my dad basically really pushed us into like getting into sports.
Okay. And going back to kickboxing. So do you do kickboxing in Dar es Salaam, or?
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a trainer, and he was actually like the champion kickboxer here in the country. And so I trained with him.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. Like, whenever I go to Dar, I see everybody. Oh, there's volleyball, there's cricket, and then there's soccer, and then. So
I'm crazy because like I go running outside. Like, I hate that. I don't like to be confined to a gym, because I like running by the sea. So I'll go and run by the sea, and then like I'll go kickbox. I had a cliff, and I'll go kickbox there, which is now getting run over, which is sad. But I like to be outdoors. It's nice,
All right.
Yeah.
So much about Dar I've never even known about.
Yeah. People see me sometimes running, and they're just like, is this girl insane? Because I'm like in full hijab and I'm like running, and I have my dog, and they're just like, what is going on? There's something going on right now. But yeah.
Hey, okay, so before we get on to the next topic, I'm just curious to know, what's your handicap?
My handicap right now is like 12, but I used to be a single handicap
Really?
back. Yeah.
What was your best handicap that you've had?
I think 6. I used to play
Wow.
on-
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You didn't want to try like going like professional in golf, or maybe go like D1 in golf, or was that not something?
You know what? I had to pick. You know, the thing with golf is that, first of all, it takes so much time. Like, you have to you have to do it. Don't worry about it. You just use your soda.
I realized I had a medal that was
that was a complete joke. I'm not even kidding. Like, seriously, don't worry about it. I like to joke around too. No, so basically, yeah, it takes a lot of time and commitment, and I just like didn't. I knew that I like didn't have that time. If I wanted to do all these other things, I wouldn't have the time to. So when I was in Dubai this time, I was so in love with just going and hitting the range. And so in the morning, I would go and play for 4 hours at a time. And then like I would like go on the golf course and then like go and play a round of golf. And it was so much fun.
So like you said, you loved playing in Dubai. So if there was one place that you have played golf, the one course, what course would that be? Your favorite?
I love the Els golf course in Dubai. The Els one is good. Funnily enough, the Trump golf course is really, really good too. Yeah, it's a good golf course. I mean,
must be a lot of Lysol.
Yeah, that they make you inject. Yeah, so I mean, you know, Dubai has some beautiful, and you know what? The cool thing is you can play like night golf there, right? So it's fun. It's good fun. Yeah.
That's sick. All right. Well, now we get on to basically kind of what you can like kind of share with our community members, and also community members who have tuned in or are probably going to watch this video later on.
Okay.
What was kind of your biggest challenge you'd say you faced when you were trying to succeed in something, or whatever? It might have been maybe one task or whatever it was. If you were like, man, when I look back at this was so tough, but yeah, it worked.
So, you know, I gave a TED talk on finding purpose behind pain, because in the last 3 years, I've gone through quite a few tragic like episodes, and I think it's human beings. We as just like, you know, we go through like trauma, and we go through, you know, all these challenges and adversities. It's just part of the human experience, right? But I think that essentially it's looking beyond that pain and finding a purpose that's just bigger than you, right? And I think that the most important thing is just the biggest challenge I've had is just I've never, and I know this sounds really weird, and I know it's a big problem because I work with a lot of youth in our community. It's like, what are people going to say, whatever. I've always been a good kid. Like, I've never really had any problems with that. You know, I always believe that if you're it's very important to, you know, maintain your religion, because it's such a huge part of who you are. But, you know, it doesn't mean that you can't do certain things, right? So just because I can play golf doesn't mean I'm not a Muslim anymore, right? I can play golf in full hijab, right? And so I think it's just like finding that balance in the two things, and being able to not let little things get to you, because, you know, it's sometimes, you know, it's like someone makes a comment, you're like, okay, I want to just give up, right? But it's just pushing through that and just telling yourself, no, like I don't want to give up. Like I want to really do this. And it can get tough. And I know that people really find it very difficult to deal with this kind of criticism and, you know, what people have to say. But I think that if you know with your heart that you're doing it for a good cause, and you know that it's going to like have a positive effect on your life, then do it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of going off that. So
yeah.
What personally drove you, or who influenced you to become successful? So it could be like a person, or like a thought process, or anything amongst those lines.
I think it's my Okay, so I got my work ethic from my dad and my heart from my mom. And I say that because I, you know, you become what you see. And I've watched how hard my dad has worked. Like he's 73, 74, right now, and he still goes to work every single day, including on Sundays. And that commitment, whether the day is good, the day is bad, it's amazing to see in somebody, that work ethic. And when you see that, you kind of learn how to copy it, right? But then with my mom, I think that she always used to tell us that, look, be kind, work with your heart, be good to people, learn how to engage well with people, and that's why, I have a speech that I gave to a bunch of high school kids called "Kindness is Gangster," because I was like, listen, buddy, your arrogance and your, this whole attitude is not going to get you anywhere. You're going to be kind, you're going to be able to get to so many places, right? And so I think it's a mix of both of them. And just seeing the practice that has helped me become who I am.
Yeah, it's really cool. How often do you usually give talks out at schools and stuff, or do you travel? I mean, obviously right now you're not traveling much, but so then what have you been doing as far as not going traveling places? Do you just go to local schools, or where do you go for that?
So I just got back just a month ago from the UK. I was at the Hussein Summit. I managed to interview Mehdi Hassan. I went for a book signing at Oxford University. I gave a talk at Warwick University. I managed to do a lot of talks there, which was a lot of fun. But here, I go to a lot of schools, as far as that goes. And then what I've started doing is I do a lot of mentorship, right? So every week I have it's called Coffee with Fatima. So I get a group of people together, and then we have topics, right? So it goes from how to create a growth mindset to things like how to do social media marketing. And then it's just 2 hours a week where people come together, and then I have slides and I do a presentation on it, and then we engage and we talk. And it's amazing because I get to see so many different kinds of people. There's doctors who come, there's people who have startups who come, there's students, there's really people who are so much older who just come to attend and just engage, which is amazing.
Yeah, I can completely see why you have a lot of haters, because I can 100% see it, because you're able to accomplish so much. You 100% got those haters. You keep doing you, man. That's so awesome. Because all the things you're able to accomplish, the different experiences that you have,
But you know what? I don't see any haters. I really don't. Genuinely, I don't. Even when I go on my social media, if people are really nice, I'm not kidding. I genuinely, I'm not kidding. And I think, it's about perspective as well. I choose to see, look, I think when you get older, and I'm not talking I'm a 50-year-old, but when you get a little bit older, I think, it's all about perspective. When somebody's being nasty or, they're being hurtful, I think I always think to myself that they must be going through something must be wrong. And that is why, it's happening. And so once you have that mindset and that perspective, then, you just kind of let things go. But honestly, I don't really, do you know about my haters, man?
I don't know. You were talking about the naysayers and I know.
No, this is when I was young. And you know what naysayers, what I mean by naysayers, and this is what I want to tell a lot of youth, right? Is that naysayers are people are let's say you have a really cool idea for a startup, right? And you're oh my God, I just dude, I'm I love this. I want to do this. And someone comes and they're yeah, I don't think it's going to work out, right? This is kind of a dumb idea, dude, that's what I mean by naysayers, right? When people don't believe in your ideas and they don't believe in what you can accomplish. And that's what I mean by don't let that get to you, because if you believe in it and you are going to put in the work, just go ahead and do it.
So you do have haters is basically what you're trying to say, and not as
yeah. Not too cool with the lingo then, yeah. Yeah, you're haters. Yeah.
Go ahead, Monty.
So before we get to the last question, what would you like to tell people, to everybody who's watching? What would you like to tell them about you? And if you could say anything to everybody watching right now, what would you say?
Yeah, I think at a time like this, especially since like we're all going through such a difficult time, take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health. It's so important. I think a lot of people are feeling a sense of hopelessness, and so really take care of your mental health right now. And secondly, use this time to reflect and figure out like a sense of purpose in your life. And I'm saying this because whenever I've been lost, and whenever I've hit any sort of challenge or adversity, I know that the reason why I've been able to get back up is because I know that my life is not just about me. It's not about just myself and like my selfish dreams, and that I impact a lot of people, and that I have to get up and I have to keep moving because people are looking at me and they're sort of, they rely on me. And so, yeah, find a purpose that's bigger than just you.
Okay.
And be a better person than you were the day before. Always think about that before you go to sleep.
All right. So I know that was one piece of advice that you gave, or more than one piece of advice that you just gave.
Yeah.
But if there was one piece of advice that you received, whether it be before you went to university, at university, or after university, you can give multiple pieces of advice. But if there's some advice that you received that you will never forget, what is that advice?
I told you what my Georgetown professor said, but another thing, another piece of advice that I received was, I was all about the hustle. Okay, I even created like a whole journal called The Hustle. This is like the journal that I made. And so basically, this concept of the hustle that's getting like Gary Vee talks about, like, please guys, like, hustling is also about taking care of yourself. Hustling is also taking care of about like your community. It's about it's not about like basically wearing yourself down and just killing yourself in the process. Keep that in mind, because I did that for a very, very long time. Like I was all about like, yeah, man, just like autopilot life, just work really, really hard, like, and not resting and just not taking care of yourself mentally enough, and just because you just want to get somewhere and you want to work really, really hard to get there, and then slowly you learn that you're gonna burn out at one point. So that's my piece of advice.
Okay, Nathan.
What do you have to say about that hustle life?
I take it.
What's your take?
I basically took the lingo of what Nipsey has said, where the marathon continues. The marathon continues. So that's kind of how I take the hustle. So
okay, cool.
Shout out Nipsey.
But, rest in peace, Nipsey. Not shout out Nipsey.
Yeah, rest in peace.
But yeah, I think one thing that really, like, I'm kind of taken back by all the information, because like, yeah, to be honest, I think it's really special for somebody like, especially in the Kojak community, to see a woman doing this type of things. I think it, I hope that you feel like, people are kind of appreciating what you do. I'll say for myself, I probably have not appreciated what you've done. And kind of since I've gotten to know you a little bit more now through this conversation, and also seen some of the things that you've done over social media, more and more, like, it's really inspiring to see that, we do have Koja women going out there, like trying to actually change the world, where I feel like sometimes that happens to women in our culture, that they don't feel like they can, but hopefully they take something from this.
And one thing to parents, I think that they're and I want to say this in the nicest way possible, that when you become a parent, I think that you are the one that is in charge of that dynamic. Like, it's how you raise your girls and how you raise your boys. Yeah. And I'm not, and I want to say this, and I don't say this usually, I'm not a feminist. Like, I'm not, like, I don't believe in this whole concept of, oh my God, I'm a feminist. Like, no, I very much believe that as a woman, we are, created by God to be women, and it's such a beautiful thing. And I think that I love being a woman, and I love having to, like set the table, and I love like to pick up the table and to watch that. I genuinely like doing these things because it makes me who I am. Like, and a lot of people are like really taken aback when they hear that I'm not like this feminist, because I just don't understand it. But I think that as parents, it's so important to just, just the way you also speak to your kids. It's so important, even if it's your boys and your girls, just speak with love, give as much encouragement as possible, because they're going to remember these things when they're growing up. Now, my parents, they didn't go to school, like my dad built this business with his two hands. Like it's just all through just basically hustling like a crazy person, right? But he had a vision, for all of us. And for some reason, for someone who didn't even like know anything about sports, like I don't understand how he got all. My sister, you think I'm a good golfer, my sister was a scratch golfer. She was a 0 handicap. She was at one point the best in Africa. My brother was, also like one of the best tennis players in the continent. And he got us all coaches, and he made sure that our lives were very structured, and that we fulfilled everything. It was school, it was madrasa. We all finished madrasa. We all managed to go to university abroad, and we didn't have time to slack, basically. So these things are important. It's important what your parents do.
Yeah, no, 100%. I completely agree. And on that note, you have to come to Minnesota and play golf.
Yeah.
You got to visit and hopefully do a golf session.
Warm, right?
Yeah. The 4 months and maybe like we'll try and like see. We'll let you know if the mosquitoes are still here, but we'll try our best.
We do have some like.
As long as I ain't getting malaria, I'm okay. So don't worry about it.
You don't have to worry about malaria here. We don't have malaria.
I'm gonna be fine. Don't worry. I'm fine.
Well, with that, we're gonna go ahead and do a little fun round of kind of asking you some different type of questions, and just like a bonus round, basically put you on the spot and see what you kind of have to say about it.
All right, so
awesome.
I'm gonna start this one off.
Okay, you go ahead.
This is not gonna be what you're expecting at all. This is a question that no one is expecting. So before quarantine started, you living in Dar, when you're hungry at like 7 o'clock in the afternoon, what is your go-to restaurant? I know there's Mambo.
7 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah.
Evening.
Sorry, 7 o'clock in the evening. You guys have Natasha, you guys have Mambo's. Like, what is your go-to restaurant?
You know what I like? I like Burger 53. Have you heard of it?
No,
it's just like burgers, basically. Okay. It's like my friend owns it. Very nice place. That's my go-to.
Okay, so you like burgers over sekela? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. Oh. I mean, I like my sekelas, but look, let me tell you one thing. Actually, I'm gonna detour just a bit. I grew up in a house where like we eat really, really healthy food, to the point where like, our vegetables are getting raw by the day. So like, the first couple of years I'd cook them, and then they'd half cook them. And like, now I'm like, are you even cooking them? Like, because like, they just like keep like raw and raw. So yeah, like we grew up in a house where we eat very, very healthy. So like all this like Mambos and stuff, my brothers love it, but like, it's just reduced a lot. So,
yeah, we like
you guys would die for it, right?
Now, I tried celery for the first time in my life 2 months ago, and I'm never touching it again. Like, I can't do vegetables like that. Yeah, I think celery is Jaffery. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah. Oh man, no, I know.
Well, with that, then I'll go ahead with my question. Who is like one person that you met and you were like, oh my God, I got to meet this person, or oh my God, I got to interview this person. This was like the best moment?
2 people.
Okay.
One was Tommy Fleetwood. He's a golfer. Dude, such a nice guy. I met him at the We were talking about this a little bit at the Ellis golf course. He was practicing, and I was hitting golf balls, and I just went to him and just really chilled that guy, and we were talking, and it was amazing guy. And another one was I interviewed Mehdi Hassan, which was amazing. I like the guy is on fire. He like throws out like 1,000 words a minute, but just really intelligent guy, like amazing, like amazing speaker, and just highly intelligent. So
what did you interview him about, like, exactly?
So the interview was pretty interesting because it was more about like, okay, what are pieces of advice you have for youth, who like because I believe in the process of things, right? So I always talk about how the process is more important than the product, because if you're not enjoying the process, then it doesn't matter, right? It's all like your efforts are all futile, because you get to the peak of a mountain and then you're like, oh, okay, great, enjoy for 5 minutes, now I have to get back to another peak, right? And then you're hating the whole process of it. So he said that basically, you have to just think about how, I was like, how do you manage to get all this information and just, accumulate all this kind of information and speak about it so freely and flow so well and just debate so well. And so it was more about that kind of interview.
Cool. Go ahead, Monty.
So cool being able to interview Mehdi Hassan.
Yeah.
So all right, so I know you said you're into marketing, you love golf, but what is, like, I don't know, so me and Nathan didn't talk about this one either. So what is your hidden talent? Like, for example, people have like the ones we have in the past have been one person was really good in math. Like he could do addition like in four or five digits without like using a calculator in his head. Another person actually, Nathan, what other ones did we have?
There was another one that like did some like finger thing, like they like
some finger thing, and then
I can do some golf trick shots.
So other than golf, are there any?
They're trick shots. They're not like normal. Like okay, my hidden talent.
Any hidden talent that you have that actually maybe no one actually might know of.
Like this one uncle who did it here, Zulfa uncle. Speaking of that, he's selling pan. And you can pick up bonds, minimum of 7 orders. He wanted us to do a commercial for him real quick. But he could do addition faster than a calculator, which is like, we were like, whoa. Like,
dude, that's like, awesome.
Yeah, so like, we always kind of ask the guests, like, do you have a special talent, like, that you are like, yeah, this is something that maybe people don't know, or like something I'm like, I didn't even know.
I can speak to a wall, buddy.
You can what?
I can speak to a wall. No, seriously, I'm not kidding. I can. Okay, no, I'm not joking. Like I have the ability to, like, when you go for an interview and they do an airport test with you, like, you know what the airport test is, right? Yeah, like I think I could ace that, like, any day, anytime. That's my talent. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a good talking to a wall. Never heard that before.
That's the talent.
That's the talent. That's the talent.
Yeah, that's the talent. Okay, good. Cool.
Who is your favorite golfer?
Tommy Fleetwood. Just because really? So I love Tiger Woods.
Okay.
And obviously because like I grew up watching him and stuff, and he's phenomenal, amazing golfer. But when I started getting into the technicalities of everything and just like speaking to Tommy Fleetwood, and when you watch them like practice, you're just like, I don't know if you guys like know much about golf, but like, so like I'd go to the range and like hit like 5 or 6 golf clubs, right? Like in a matter of like 2 hours. These guys would take one golf club and like 9 hours at a time just practice, like with the same golf club. It's like, it's amazing.
Yeah, I remember like when we went for the practice rounds, when they're doing the right, like they would just keep on hitting the same thing, and like I think golf is mentally like by far the toughest game. Like it's all mental. It's the most frustrating.
It made me want to murder people. It's very like, it's extremely, it's dude, it's a like mentally.
Violent? Did you want to kill somebody violent?
Yeah. No, not like that. Not like that. You know, sometimes you get so competitive and then you're just like, oh my gosh. Like, and the worst part is like, it's also, it's a good sport because you can also play against yourself, right? Like you don't really need like someone to, like, you have your handicap. So you're always competing against yourself as well, which is awesome.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, with that, Fatima, I think, you know, we're going to go ahead and get you some sleep, hopefully. But I think you have another meeting after this on Zoom.
Yeah, I do. No,
Okay.
it's all good. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you taking out the time for joining us, Fatima.
Thank you so much. Sorry
well,
about drinking.
No, man. You know what?
So bad.
It was a joke. Don't worry. So a little bit of advertising on my end. You can buy my books on Amazon, both of them, Kindle edition, paperback. So if you're interested in marketing, storytelling, if you want to do public speaking, whatever it is, it's all there.
Well, we'll definitely get it out in our weekly email and see if hopefully we can get some, you know, maybe some people that might be interested in purchasing that book. But again, we really appreciate you taking out the time, Fatima, and inshallah we'll see you in Minnesota.
Sorry, just one more thing for like anyone who's interested in like, so I've just for a certain period of time, I'm doing free mentorship. So if you go on to my Instagram, I'm going to be posting it. You can put in your email and like about anything, whether it's personal development or if it's anything to do with business, I'm more than happy to help. So just letting you all know.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Fatima.
Thank you, guys.
Well, if anybody has any questions, make sure you contact Fatima. Otherwise, that'll do it for us from here from Mini Showtime. Thank you, Fatima. And inshallah, we'll all see you soon.
For sure. Okay. Take care.
Yeah, take care. Bye. One second. Oh, she left.